Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, it's our Wisdom of the Sages podcast, a daily yoga podcast. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Raghunath, and I'm here with creative consultant, creative director.
You're hopeless.
No, you're going to text me your title. Creative.
I used to be actually creative director, but now I'm just a senior educator. I'm forgetting now. Senior educator.
I need a title too. What can my title be?
You're just the boss, man. You're the guy.
I'm the guy. Live from Super Soul Farm. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show. We are here every morning, practically, studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, the gold standard in the esoteric literature of Bhakti Yoga, and how to resurrect your spiritual life and how to put these teachings of yoga to apply them to the real world. So that's why we want this. I don't want to just read philosophy for the sake of learning philosophy to whip out some philosophy at a party. Right? Tom? I'm here with Tom, our executive producer. If you're new to this show, welcome. We do this regularly, and if you want to ask questions or join our live Zoom group, we have a live Zoom group here with 64 stragglers from around the world. They are, from around the world. They join us every morning here at 5 a.m. Eastern time. All you got to do is write our executive producer, Mara, at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. And we are in a great section of the Srimad Bhagavatam right now. We're in the first canto, one of 12 cantos or 12 big books. Truthfully, before I read the Srimad Bhagavatam, I didn't even know what a canto was.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of words just from the practice of bhakti. But we are in a nice place right here. I was talking to Jeff yesterday. Jeff Sims, who's our Zoomer here. Because Jeff came, we had a birthday party here. Matter of fact, the birthday party's still going on. We got like 20 kids sleeping over the house, keeping me up all night. I must have hit the snooze button about 11 times this morning because these kids kept me up all night. But anyway, we had a fun birthday party. We went rock climbing, indoor rock climbing.
All right.
Yeah, then they came, played games, cupcakes, and then a sleepover. And anyway, me and Jeff were talking. In this bhakti thing, it's really not gathering people together and starting an ashram or a club or a religion. It's so beyond that. I know people who are in the so-called club that are just not spiritually conscious. And you can see by their behavior in the way they speak. It's not, I'm not criticizing. I'm actually just like, I see the stuff that goes on in the internet. It's like petty, base level, like it's like the ABCs of what we're trying to teach here. Petty, base level stuff that people just indulge in. And it's just inappropriate to come out of the mouth if you want the desired goal of transcendence. If you want the desired goal of transcendence, you can't play the material game, which is just gossipy. So anyway, it's almost sad, but it makes me realize, like, it's not like there's a club that's binding us together. I couldn't give a crap about a club or a costume or an ashram or starting a new church or religion. It's such bullshit. you got to really control your senses, control your mind, control your thoughts, and be extra careful what comes out of your mouth on a regular basis.
Got to be kind.
And you got to be kind.
Kindness and simplicity. You know, I really find these two qualities, all the qualities of the yogi can kind of be fit under these larger categories. We have to be kind to others. We have to live simply. And those, if we can move through this world being kind to others and living simply, we don't get entangled and distracted and caught up in like what you're identifying as the petty stuff.
Petty stuff. Petty politics of the institution of an ashram, of a church. Unless it's like your service, like you're running a church or you're running an organization, then you have to sometimes dip into that. But even that, you see like people are actually very spiritually conscious. I mean, look at Raghunath Swami. He's such a great living example. He runs so many big organizations like the Bhakti Center that go over down Echo Village. In one sense, he's directly manifesting those things. But he's not like entangled in the politics of it at all.
Yeah,
and he leads by example. He teaches how to slice away, what has to be managed, but he doesn't dive into it and get caught up in the minutia of it. You can do big things in the material world, so to speak. You can do big spiritual things, but you got to be able to like sort of like step away from it as well. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, what to speak of if you don't have those kind of responsibilities in life. If you have responsibilities in terms of management or something like that, you have to be careful to avoid that energy, even though you're going to be in a situation where you have to deal with a lot. But what if you don't even have to deal with it?
What if you don't even have to do? What if your opinion is not going to make a difference anyway?
Yeah, why go there?
Why go there? Your opinion is not going to make a difference in the world, and you sit around and you hate a politician. Big deal. You're just taking yourself down with all that hate. We live in a culture that's just, they're really digging their heels into hate in the name of doing what's right. And it's almost like self-condemning. And you see it so blatantly right now. It's like, it's heartbreaking. And I feel like saying, don't you understand? You've been tricked. You've been tricked to hate. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just woke up with a little chip.
Okay.
Anyway, that's what I'm thinking about today. That's what we talked about at the birthday party.
I wonder how the kids took it.
The kids were crying. All the kids were scared of me when I raised my voice. I started shaking them, going, "Don't you understand? You're digging your heels into hate." I just want to play pin the tail on the donkey. Alrighty.
But if we let all that go, we can possibly have an experience like we're going to read about now, Narada.
Yes, and by the way, simplicity doesn't mean you just have to live in a tiny little box and do nothing with your life. You can, like I was saying, Raghunath Swami, or even like these great kings like Parikshit Maharaj, their minds, they did a lot of things in the world, but they were simple at heart. Like they had one main, their identity of who they called themselves. I am a devotee of Lord Krishna. I'm a simple devotee. And that you see this a lot in India. Sometimes you see people who are very wealthy businessmen or women, and they will go to a holy place, and you would never know them from Adam, who they are. They just, because in the heart of hearts, they're simple. And you won't know how they live outside the holy place, because in their heart of hearts, this is their vacation. This is their free time. They go to a holy place and they act like a simple beggar or pilgrim. Yeah, it's quite beautiful, isn't it?
They find their pleasure in the simple things, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think it's true to be said about a lot of us here on the show too. Bhakti's changed the course of our desires. There's no crazy. material desires that are like attracting us. Let's go do this ridiculous thing that appealed to me like last year or 5 years ago. Even our desires for pleasure in the material world are become sattvic. It just changes our desires.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's real spiritual transformation. That's what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
It's not the outfit. It's not the club.
It's not the outfit. It's not the
Not
club. It's not the
changing the
church.
name. It's not changing the clothes.
Yeah.
It's changing the desires, transforming the desires.
I mean, you see that with like getting initiated too. Sometimes people just want to get initiated, so they get a new name, and it also could just be based in, I want to impress somebody. I want a cool Indian spiritual name. We're such simple beasts motivated by ego, isn't it sad? We're just a simple beast. So anyway, we're asking more, and Anyway, let's dive into this, Prabhu. What do you say? All right. Good morning, Heidi. Sipping
Just
coffee.
1 second. Are those new glasses you got, Raghu?
Nah.
Okay.
I need some new ones. I can't wear.
Those were new.
Someone said to me, you need new glasses. You're going on Joe Rogan. You need some new glasses. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I do.
Well, you don't need your glasses on Joe Rogan because you don't need to read anything.
Good point. What if he says, well, read this?
Oh, you read it, Joe.
And then I started reading it, and she's like, well, where'd you get those glasses from?
And then you break them on the spot.
The lens pops out. That happens a lot with my glasses. Anyway. All right. Nasta Prayeshva Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of our conquest, one should offer obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become vanquished, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established in the heart as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyanat Murandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Alrighty. All right, so we are on Canto 1, Chapter 6, verse 13. Oh, he was talking about how we're on actually 14.
Yeah, we heard about how owls will penetrate one's skull. Yes.
Yeah, and then somebody wrote in. Who was that? Somebody wrote in. Oh,
Elizabeth
Liz from Boston said how she was attacked by a great horned owl.
Mm.
I didn't get on the Telegraph thread yesterday, but during yesterday's show, we said that the most dangerous animal in the woods is an owl. Because if you approach the female owl and she's nursing, can you nurse a baby owl? I don't know if you can say that, but if they've got the babies, the owls will clamp onto your head. And she said...
She got clamped.
She got clamped, but
she survived.
I know, and those are the owls, the great horned owls. Those are the ones that really take you down. I couldn't believe she wrote that post. The only post I really read yesterday, and it was about a great horned owl. One of those animals I'm fascinated by.
It's interesting how I would have never until I heard that from you, but it says snakes, owls, and jackals. So snakes and jackals, oh yeah, they're dangerous, but I wouldn't have thought of owls. But there you go. Bhagavatam's on it.
You know, I follow all these Himalayan adventure things on Instagram. Okay. And it's just like one after another, just like a rogue leopard walking around, just like somebody filming a leopard, and a snow leopard, which I also mentioned yesterday. Snow leopard. They're out there waiting to take you down.
You know, in one sense, that's an analogy for the whole world. In other words, we talked about, I think 2 shows back, about how that sadhu that's living in the forest, how they're endeavoring to see the Lord within the heart of every living being. And when they learn that art, then the animals kind of react to them and respond to them differently. So the danger subsides.
But what if they're just gonna? What if they're hungry and just want to eat you?
Apparently, everything's good. You know, they're cool with that.
What do then what do they eat? Only things that have fear?
Yeah, and then but we could see like the whole world that way. In other words, like in one sense, the whole world is dangerous. It's entangling until we become, in one sense, kind and simple and seeing the Lord within the heart of every living being. It's a big jungle out here, Raghu.
Yeah. And not only that, anything could kill you at any minute.
That's true too.
We had a whole conversation last night with Jeff and Heidi and my wife about Bird Box.
Oh,
and the deep. Now everyone's going to watch that show and find the deep philosophical meaning in that movie. But just at any minute, everything can collapse, and you're running for your life with your kid in your arms and canned goods in your backpack. How just like collapse can happen at any minute. When the shit hits the fan,
is going to ruin you, Ro, because once that happens, everybody's going to be running to Super Soul Farm.
Well, we do have water. That is, your oil is worth nothing. Everybody will want water.
Save some space for me there, Raghu. I'm coming.
I will, but there's going to be such a mass exodus from Manhattan, you'll never make it.
Okay.
You are welcome. Just can imagine people running across the George Washington Bridge towards New Jersey, like fighting each other for canned goods.
All right, let's get back to the Bhagavatam. Right. We almost got started.
Sorry. Thus traveling, I felt both bodily and thus traveling, I felt tired, both bodily and mentally. So here's a young boy traveling through these dangerous forests, and I was both thirsty and hungry, looking for canned goods. So I took a bath in a river lake, and also drank the water. By contacting the water, I got relief from my exhaustion.
That good water full of minerals and everything like that.
Yeah. Good luck finding that on your massive exodus from Manhattan. Are you going to drink the East River? After that, under the shadow of a banyan tree in an uninhabited forest, I began to meditate upon the supersoul, situated within, using my intelligence I had learned from liberated souls. Mm-hmm. So here he was, lost in the forest or wandering through the forest. He's 5 years old.
Yep.
Sits down, takes his bath in the river, drinks some water, feels refreshed, and now he's thinking, I'm going to meditate. That's what the kids are thinking.
As he was instructed by those great souls who he had met earlier.
Sure.
Did you read commentary? A little commentary?
Yeah. One should not meditate according to one's personal whims. That's sort of what meditation is nowadays. It's sort of your personal whim. One should know perfectly well from authoritative sources of scriptures through the transparent medium of a bona fide spiritual master, and by proper use of one's trained intelligence for meditating upon the supersoul dwelling within every living being. This consciousness is firmly developed by a devotee who has rendered loving service unto the Lord by carrying out the orders of the spiritual master. Sri Narada ji contacted a bona fide spiritual master and served them sincerely and got enlightenment rightly. Thus, he began to meditate. As soon as I began to meditate upon the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead with my mind transformed in transcendental love, tears rolled down my eyes, and without delay, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, appeared on the lotus of my heart.
Wow. So that's a description of the symptoms, the involuntary symptoms that appear in the body of the Bhakti-yogi.
So let me ask you a question, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So before this, he was just he was just a child. He was just a child, son of a maidservant. And before this birth, what was his birth before that? Do you know the backstory of the backstory?
I haven't heard anything.
Because, I mean, he was only 5. How many years did he sit with those sages? Just one season of
4
the rainy
months.
season.
Yeah.
4 months, and he got enlightened in 4 months.
Well, we spoke a few days ago that we said that it's just like this example is used. If grass is wet, it won't catch fire, even if you're trying to light fire to it. But if it's dry, then just a spark can set it off.
So it's the quality of the fire,
the quality of the grass,
and the quality of the tinder.
the tinder. And so therefore there was mention of like, Narada mentioned, I was a good boy. I wasn't distracted by these other things. I behaved well. When I met these sages, I served them. He was like that dry grass. He lit up.
Okay, Wenke G and hair mustache have a question here.
Alexander.
I really like hair mustache, and it's not hair; it's hair like he's German hair.
Herr.
Herr. Hair mustache. Hair mustache has a question. Okay, what do people do that do not have a spiritual guide yet? It seems as if meditation does not make any sense then. It's confusing. The interesting thing is meditation, just sitting there and stilling the mind, has actually so many benefits. It's just not what the Vedic version of meditation is. The Vedic version of meditation is use of mental mantras or meditating on a form in the heart. This type of void meditation isn't meditation at all. It's just an incredibly stilling of the vehicle. But to meditate, it means there's an object of meditation, because ultimately the world isn't a void. And although it's filled with noise, the world's filled with noise. You can understand, you just want to, stick your fingers in your ears like, no more noise. And in one sense, you do get some peace. Like when you go into one of these, what are those things people do now? Float tanks. Have you ever done that, Kaustubha?
No, I have a friend that's got one, but I've never done it.
You got a friend that has a float tank?
His apartment in Manhattan, yeah.
Can I use it?
I never bothered to ask if I can. I imagine if you asked him, he'd let you.
Do I know him?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Can you see if you can hook that up for me? I really want to try it.
You were just about to criticize it or something like that.
No, I wasn't. I was actually quite fascinated by it. Mike Stone says he uses one all the time.
Yeah, I was talking to Mike about it.
Liam says Joe Rogan's all about those.
All right.
Maybe I'll get Joe Rogan to take me to a float tank. I'm ready although I might freak out with claustrophobia, because I think they lock you in a box, isn't it? And make you float.
A bird box.
A bird. Anyway, my point is that it's probably incredible for the nervous system. When could you get off track? Yes. It's probably great for the nervous system, but it's not actually meditation. It's just sort of plugging up your senses so you don't have to deal with the noise of the material world. And I get noise. When you got kids, you get noise. That's part of having kids. Why do you think Kaustubha's so peaceful? He's kidless over there. I'll give you my 6-year-old for an hour. Kaustubha will act more and more like me.
You're my kid.
He'll be like, come on. So anyway, that we mix up meditation because we think it's just like shutting off the senses, and we almost refer to it as meditation. But here the Bhagavatam saying there's authorized ways to meditate. And one is with the use of mantras and the use of form, a nama, rupa, name and form.
Yeah. With it, like, I'm not so studied in all of this, but the impression that I get is that if you go to the Vedic literature itself, when you hear about meditation, you hear about it like this: I'm meditating on the Paramatma. And then you'll get
Paramatma means the super soul.
The super soul within the heart, Lord Vishnu within the heart of every living being, within my own heart. That's what you read about here in Bhagavatam. That's what you read about in Bhagavad Gita. When Bhagavad Gita describes Ashtanga Yoga in the 6th chapter, there's an object of meditation. That object is the Paramatma within the heart. Now, then you got like, say, kind of these esoteric books that are written by different yogis or sages that go into different types of meditation. that stem off of that literature. And then you get like a group like, say, the Bihar School. We're talking about the Bihar, Bihar. It's bad reputation yesterday. But they got the Bihar School of Yoga, right? And they play around with all kind of different types of meditation. You know, where to take your mind. And if you go into like some meditation class in a yoga studio or something, they may tell you to meditate on all kinds of, you know, Bihar School of Yoga is tell you meditate like on a candle or something like that, right? And then you get, you know, you walk into a yoga studio and they say, you know, meditate on, you know, a pyramid full of golden glowing liquid or something. You know, they'll just come up with this stuff for different like kind of led meditations. And that those kind of meditations you don't find in the Vedic literature. Not that there's no value in them, not that you can't get something out of it, but meditation is, as far as I've seen, I'm not saying there are no exceptions, but from what I've seen in my studies, it's about Paramatma, settling the mind so that you can connect with that divine source within yourself. Meditating on mantra, you know, that like you're saying, nama, guna, rupa, lila, the name, form, qualities, pastimes of Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna are the objects of the meditation.
Wenke G furthers her question now, Kaustubha. Anyway, that's it. And I appreciate that answer. And I do think that a lot of these yoga practices, or sort of like esoteric yoga practices, that takes the meditation to other places, not then Paramatma. It's almost to develop some type of siddhi.
Yeah, or to play a game with the mind, to learn something about the mind and develop some separation between you and the mind, perhaps.
Yeah.
Gain control of the mind in some way.
Okay, so Wenke G again asks, and one can only connect to the Paramatma if initiated by a guru. Is it possible to do so without initiation? I think a simple answer is Wenke G's pretty connected. You know what I mean? I think you're already connected. I think you're connected, and like initiation is for furthering where you're at, where you're like making official declaration to the, you know, to the divine. You're making a public statement. I'm committed to this. Now, people say different things. I've heard different things. Without initiation, you're not getting the full dose of anything. I've heard that. I've also heard, and that's why in the Nectar of Devotion, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it's recommended as one of the, what is it, the characteristics of bhakti?
Not the characteristics, but the
64
practices.
qualities is
Yeah.
you search out a guru and take initiation.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's also been said that your dedicated commitment can also be like unspoken but internalized. What do you think about that, Kaustubha?
Well, there's no question about that. You know, there's no question that your sincerity is recognized with or without initiation.
Was Narada initiated?
Yeah, he was initiated by those sadhus that he met at his home.
Or was he officially initiated?
They gave him mantra.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Right. So it appears that's, you know, he received it through them. That's what this verse just said, right? As I was instructed, right? Or was it the previous verse?
And this
as I had learned from the liberated souls. To me, that's an indication of, you know, like there was that transferal that took place there.
And in the lineage that Kaustubha and I are teaching from, the Maha Mantra can be given. I can hear it from Kaustubha and take that. They say, but if you read the Vedas, it says you can't just take a mantra like I'm more attracted to this mantra. You can't do that. You can't just pick a mantra randomly and say this is my mantra. The mantras have to be given to you, and they have to be explained by the person giving them to you, or else the mantras don't have. You're laughing. Why?
Well, no, I just thought of, you know, anyway, I don't want to get too political, but I was once having a conversation with someone about gun control, right?
Interesting.
And
interesting where you're going to take this conversation now. And
this person is a devotee of a conservative, but has more of a conservative kind of political viewpoint.
Okay.
And they were against gun control. And the point that I made was that if you look at the Vedic paradigm, you read Mahabharata, the powerful weapons that they had, like, in other words, Arjuna could chant mantras and fire an arrow that would turn into thousands of arrows. But the
It's all
gurus,
real.
it's all real.
I believe it.
And the gurus were capable, I'm sorry, the gurus were careful only to initiate qualified disciples into those mantras.
Right.
They wouldn't just give that kind of weapon to anyone. It was carefully chosen who could receive that weapon. So you couldn't just go and pick that up or demand that or chant that mantra, and you would have to be given. And therefore, there's a tradition of mantras being secret, because I'm only going to give to someone who truly appreciates it. And so you were saying, like in the lineage, you don't just pick a mantra. The idea is through initiation, it's saying, I want to qualify myself to chant this mantra as recognized by you.
Sure.
You discipline me and show me how to become worthy of it. I'll follow those instructions, and then you'll give me that mantra, and I'll receive it with the right reverence, the right respect, the right attitude. And then the initiation takes place. But that initiation isn't just for anyone. Someone has to, both guru and disciple have to be qualified.
It's like my secret pranayama mantras. You know that story?
Yeah.
Part one. There's two parts of that. There's two. Part one was meeting the mystic in South India. Read my mind. Let me tell that story.
I'm forgetting now.
There's a guy that there was at this stage of my life where I've heard about these secret pranayama mantras I wanted to learn. And I was in South India, and these guys could read minds. And so,
where in South India?
In Varkala.
Okay.
In Varkala, it was near. Anyway, the guru wasn't in Varkala, but he was close. But anyway, there were these guys who ran this Ayurvedic clinic, very beautiful young men, and everybody was waiting in line for some.
You mean the place that we were staying together? In Varkala?
Hold!
What?
Let me tell a story.
Okay.
Let me tell a story. It's a good.
I'm
story.
trying to picture it in my mind.
Yeah. So anyway, I went there. Everyone's in line waiting for some Ayurvedic churna and herbs and stuff like that, but not me. I'm waiting patiently and quietly. And when it was my turn and everybody's left, he looks at me and just goes, "Are you here for the secret pranayama?" Yeah.
Were you, or just he said that and you're
No.
like,
yeah, of course. I said, yes.
secret pranayama, that's what I've come from. I've traveled from New York.
and then he said, he goes, I know, but I cannot give you. He goes, I have to ask my guru. And so next day, he goes, come back tomorrow. So the next day I came back and he said, I have asked him. And he said, I cannot give you, but he will give you. I said, well, where is he? He goes, he lives in a cave. And I said, well, how will you take me to his cave? Anyway, should I continue with the story?
Well, how can you stop now?
Okay, I'm in it. Okay. So he said, he goes, no, I will not take you to his cave, but he will come. And so he came. And I told you that he initiated me into the secret pranayams. And he gave me Shaktipat. And
now you'll share that with us?
I can't. I don't have the permission to. I'm sorry. But it was all done with mantras. And it was, anyway, how do we get talking about this? It's had a good...
Because what I was trying to share was that people approach spirituality and this, and like you were saying, oh, I'm going to chant this mantra, I'm going to do that. It's about learning it from someone who's mastered it and approaching them with the right seriousness and the right reverence, the right respect, honoring what this tradition is. And then a person who's already deep in it is going to recognize whether you have the sincerity and the determination and the qualities to actually appreciate the gift that's being given.
Sure. I just did what my wife says. You got to stop doing. Every time Kaustubha says something, you cut him off. And you change the topic. I'm not changing the topic. But I'm just adding to it because yes. Eric asked a good question here. Eric Noble, old school Zoomer, Super Soul family member. By the way, Eric Noble's been trying to get us to do Patreon since the whole show started. And I know I've always been going, no. Anyway, it seems like our natural state, Eric says, would be our connection to divinity, and our lens of perception becomes dirty. So we use spiritual practices to clean the lens. I've heard our spiritual connection is our birthright. Saying we have to have a guru takes that away a little, doesn't it? Like that seems like it's saying you can't have it without a guru. And now everybody like WenKG, hair, mustache, is saying, yes, Eric, yes. The mob is agreeing.
Go ahead.
But the fact is, in anything, teachers are helpful. Come on. In anything. You try to figure out multiplication of fractions. You could try to figure it out. Might be easier if you just get a teacher to teach you how to do it. I know that because I'm doing multiplication of fractions with my daughter. But
she's teaching you?
Because I forgot everything. No, but the idea is like in martial arts, we know that you can try to figure out things, but if you have a teacher who's good at martial arts, they can teach you with one little thing, a little nuanced way to move your shoulder, and all of a sudden, the person you're attacking, their shoulder will break. Crude example, but teachers are always useful. And so in the same way, we have this show. Me and you are leading the show. But we're also reading books. If we don't need a teacher, if divinity is just our birthright, which it is, divinity is our birthright, but at the same time, teachers are 100% useful. And therefore, we read books. We hear from teachers. And the whole concept of guru within is true. But you have to have guru without too. They just work together nicely. Because without guru within, if it's all guru within, why do we even have an educational system? Why? I'm just saying, okay, bring the patient in. I'm going to do heart surgery. Are you a doctor? Don't worry. I've been taught from within how to do heart surgery. I learned heart surgery from within. I majored in that, and that was my birthright to have that knowledge. So we have guru within, but at the same time, we also check in with teachers without. And then we start to like resonate with people and to assist us. And I say that like I'm teaching, I'm a teacher, but at the same time, I fill my life with teachers because I wanted to sort of birth all that is within me as well. I think the teacher becomes sort of like a gardener and assists the birthing of our spiritual life. What do you guys think about that?
Well, you see, what Eric is saying is, okay, our natural state is connection to divinity, but we're out of that natural state right now. We're disconnected.
Mm.
And so it's not that the guru is giving you something external, but the guru is helping you discover what's within your own self. If we could discover it ourselves, we just would. Now, I really think that this idea is important. There's this story about Sanatana Goswami and the touchstone, right?
Oh. Yes.
Right. So there's this, people would call it a mythical idea, although there are people that, are interested in alchemy and all this, that they say that there's a stone that can transform like regular metal into gold, right?
Yeah, it's a magical stone.
Magical stone.
It sounds too crazy to believe, but it's all true. That's
all real.
It's all real.
And so this person had heard that Sanatana Goswami had this touchstone. And am I telling the story right? And so that he went to him to ask for it.
Yeah, so but a little backstory on Sanatana Goswami. He's a mendicant. He's a pure bhakti mendicant living like a incredibly renounced life in like the 1400s, 1500s. And so it's been rumored that he has one of these magical stones. And a person with some material desires is approaching him like, he's got a magical stone. He's a hermit. He's got nothing. Why does he need that thing? I should get that thing. Continue.
Yeah. So with full of material desire, he approaches Sanatana Goswami to ask for that stone. And when he asks Sanatana Goswami, he says, oh, that stone, yeah, it's over there, like in that pile of garbage over there. You can get it if you want, So he goes and he gets that stone. And I assume that he was able to use it. But then a thought occurs to him is that if Sanatana Goswami had this stone, but he had no interest in it, well, he must have something more valuable.
Why would he keep it in the trash heap?
Why would he, not even care about it, keep it in the trash heap? So he goes back and he says to Sanatana Goswami, I was thinking, that you had this touchstone and you didn't even care for it. What is it that you have that's so precious, that's so valuable, that you don't even care about the touchstone? I want that. Can you give me that? Okay.
He said first you got to throw away the touchstone.
Well, that's the point. So now we're talking, this begins like the type of guru-disciple relationship between him and Sanatana Goswami. Oh, you want the real thing. Well, then what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to start to listen to my instructions. First thing you have to do is take that stone, go throw it in the river, right? Which requires some faith. Oh, okay. The stone.
Here you have a stone that will give you whatever you want.
Yeah, and I got to give that up.
Throw it in the river because there's something even more valuable.
I have to give up my material desires. And that's where the guru comes in. Hey, I'm going to instruct you how to start to give up your material desires. Because if you're going to receive this mantra, if you're going to receive these true spiritual instructions, you're going to have to start to discipline yourself. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So that's how the guru is operating. Let me give you the instructions about how you can qualify yourself to really receive the benefit of this mantra. Otherwise, you just chant this mantra and it's getting you nowhere, So that's why the guru is giving those instructions. They understand it all.
And as we do approach teachers, just even as we're joining the Zoom group, we get more out of this stuff by letting go of our material desires. And there has to be some type of giving up the lesser to get the higher. We don't see you, Raghu and Kaustubha. Uh-oh. Are we still there? Am I frozen?
I don't think so.
Okay. Oh, we see you. Okay. Thank you. I had like an altered state moment. I'm in the floating tank. Okay. Anyway, I don't know if
so if we go back to Wenkaji, she's mentioning here, one should not meditate according to one's personal whims. That seems more strict than what you're saying now. That's what got me confused in the beginning. I don't know if this has helped, Wenkaji. You can let us know, or if you want to. That had not been not completely. You want to pipe in? You want to open up the mic?
Who's that? Who are you asking? Wenkaji?
Yeah.
Unmute yourself.
I guess maybe what I'm trying to say here is that, and it kind of relates to what you were saying earlier. Like, if you have a doctor and the doctor says, yeah, well, I got my qualification internally. I meditated within, and that's how I know how to perform heart surgery on you. You're going to be like, I don't know.
It's like, I'll get another doctor, please.
For
like
me,
a second opinion.
For me to say, hey, I'm a doctor now, and I'm ready to treat you, without having gone to medical school and actually learned it from people that actually knew it and handed it down to me, that would be in a way, my minimizing, disrespecting, not appreciating fully the tradition of how medicine is practiced and taught. And we think with spirituality is somehow different, and any whim that I have is as valuable as the next person's whim. Mm. But that's not how spirituality was traditionally practiced or handed down in the Vedic tradition. The idea is it was something that was treasured and handed down with great care. And both the guru and the student would have to be qualified. Now someone's mentioning, Suryaji's mentioning, we have to be careful to choose the right teacher. You're damn straight. You better choose a good teacher.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, not just anyone that comes along and starts posing as a guru. They got the right beard, they got the right turban, and they speak, all kind of like, pleasing words. Guru's words may be like less than pleasing. They may be like, challenging to us. But the point is, the guru is saying, I'm not making any of this up. I'm presenting what comes in this lineage. And we should see that they practice those teachings. You know, we should be very careful who we choose as that teacher. And people haven't studied it, so they don't know. They don't know how to choose a doctor.
Sure. And then what we're doing with the Bhagavatam class is developing discernment so that we can hear like, oh, this is substantial what this person is saying. This is made up. This guy is just making up.
It's just fluff.
It's just fluff. It's just fluffy, nice stuff, or it's yoga mixed with this guy's own personal take on yoga. It's not based in any tradition. It's based on this guy's just being charming and making me laugh, or this lady saying something or looking holy. This is actually what we're doing. We're actually creating discernment. So yeah, good point. You have to know who your teachers are. Narada had the good fortune. He just happened as a child to run into great liberated. You might get the good fortune when you just stumble upon a great teacher, or sometimes you hear from another person. I've been lucky. I've just had some like really good teachers in my life. I feel like I've been really nurtured by great people. Both, I think you too, Kaustubha.
You know,
our teachers a lot of overlapped, but
Suryaji is mentioning, what about people like Bikram and Osho who gain a lot of devotional followers? And she's mentioning that it's hard to discern sometimes.
Not if you study the Bhagavatam.
Well, that's my point, is that's what we're meant to, that's why we're meant to study these books, to develop that discernment. And if you don't study Bhagavatam, if you don't study Bhagavad Gita and Mahabharata and things like that, how the hell are you going to know? You know, just based on whim, you're going to pick, or because, you know, some external, it'll be external things that impress you. But really, if you want to enter into this science, you're meant to study it. And that's why here's one example of Narada, how Narada talks about his qualities to receive the mantra. He talks about the qualities of the gurus who gave him the mantra, so that we get an idea. And we're going to hear more and more and more examples of this as we go through the Bhagavatam, so that we can begin to put it together. So that we can begin to say, I get it. That person is just bluffing. That person is not presenting genuine teachings. That person is just kind of making it up or posing as a spiritualist without being like a true representative, you know, a true, sober, well-intentioned representative of handing something down.
You know, Lauren Carmen brings up a good point too that I just want to address.
Yeah.
I like hearing that the guru and student are part of a larger community, and this relationship doesn't exist in a vacuum. Now, here's an interesting point. Communities are useful to the degree they assist you in learning that particular skill. I'm not going to even say a spiritual thing. It could be a martial thing if you're studying martial arts, or if you're studying acupuncture, you know, something like that, where there's some like a disseminated message. But at the same time, within the community can also be a diversion. I was just talking about like an internet group, just getting into gossip and stuff like that. In one sense, it has the facade of a community, but it is really just, it's plagued with a bunch of nonsense, where if you were just listening to a real fixed teacher, you wouldn't get caught up in that. That's why Kaustubha and I, as directing the Zoom group, we try to keep parameters in what the conversation is for the most part.
Yeah, we try.
For the most part. Kaustubha tries to control my mind a little bit. So at the same point, if we actually, a community is useful if the community is taking you to that high level. But community can also be water down things in a big way too. It can become very, very lax about those spiritual disciplines in the name of just socialness. So it's not necessarily a vacuum. But
I think what Lauren was mentioning is community as well as tradition, if I understand what she was implying by that, right?
Yeah.
In other words, it's not that I'm just some solitary, isolated spiritual figure that's just full of, you know, and someone else is mentioning here, Nancy Rossman, charisma, you know, but rather she mentions charisma versus authenticity. So am I just a person with some charisma, or am I a person that's connected to an authentic lineage and I'm carefully handing that down? So, you know, there's Guru Fluff, you know, and there's guru stuff. There's guru stuff,
Ooh,
and there's guru fluff, right? And the
What do I
stuff
feel like
is
the
the real
name of the show
authentic
today?
tradition that my job as guru, I'm just a humble peon, and I'm handing something down carefully. I'm trying to recognize whether you've got the proper respect and understanding to receive it. And then I'm just trying to be the postal peon. I'm taking it and handing it from one to the next. That's what a guru is. And that's the guru stuff. I'm delivering the stuff. And the guru fluff is, this whole external demonstration of my enlightenment and, I'm so kind and merciful and how I, smile upon you and all that stuff, that's the fluff.
This has really become a couples show, hasn't it? I'm looking around at the Zoom group. Everyone's just enwrapped in love. It's a good point, and the couples in love have thrown me off. But here's what I wanted to say. Here's what I wanted to say is, whether you guys like it or not, you're showing up at this show on a regular basis, and you're hearing from me and Kaustubha. Guess what? You're in a tradition now.
You're participating in one. Yeah.
You're just like, you're hearing it from a tradition. Therefore, you are also now part of that tradition. And you can also, I do the same thing. When I hear something from like a traditional book, from a traditional guru, a traditional statement from the Bhagavad Gita, from the Bhagavatam, when I hear that, I have to like sort of like put it in, okay, what does that mean in this situation with my family, with my children, in life, in this reversal, or someone I know getting sick, or it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in my whole life. But that doesn't mean I won't get the proper medicine, the effective medicine to cure me from that illusion. That can't be watered down. And I use this example of martial arts again, because I know when you get really good teachers, they don't have to teach you much. They just teach you some like nuanced detail of the same thing everybody else is teaching. And that's what makes the teacher valuable.
Thank you. I think these have been really important questions.
Yeah, it's good. I like question day. Day. We need more.
It's nice when the show comes alive like that with a two-way thing going on. And so thank you. Alice is mentioning Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. That there's within this tradition, there are these three. There's the Guru, there's the Sadhu, the saintly people, and then there's the Shastra, the books themselves.
This is a great check and balance of how to apply that discernment. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Everyone should learn those words.
Yeah. If the Guru is not referring to the Shastra, then they have no foundation upon which they stand.
Shastra means sacred literature. So when you start to understand sacred literature, like we're saying, you develop that discernment, then you can first understand who the actual guru is. Go on. I'm sorry.
No, that was my point. That even the Guru and the Sadhu, the saintly people and the Guru, their foundation is in presenting Shastra, living according to and presenting not their own ideas, not their whims, but presenting Shastra. And the role of the Guru is to make it understandable, to make it relevant, to make it applicable in the particular time, place, and circumstance of the student.
There was one of the not early yoga books, but books in America on yoga, interviews with all these yoga teachers. There was a very popular yoga teacher, I won't mention his name, but someone asked, it was a book of interviews, and someone asked him this question, are you vegetarian? Because it says in the Yoga Sutras, ahimsa, or he says something about, are you vegetarian? Something about vegetarianism, and he said, why do I have to be a vegetarian to be a yogi? And my brain came up, well, ahimsa, nonviolence, every yoga ashram in the world is vegetarian. And then he said, I'm just conscious of the meat I eat. So I was thinking to myself, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Here's the guru.
Back it up.
Here's the guru saying you can eat chicken wings. Where are you getting that from? Are you just basing it on your desire to eat? What do you mean you're going to consciously eat chicken wings? You're conscious of what you eat, then you wouldn't be eating them. or you're going against so you can't just say anything because I have some attachment to something. You have to say it and you have to back it up with shastra. And then you have to look at previous sadhus. Did the previous sadhus live like this? And so this is a great type of accountability. At least primary accountability. There's ways to even refine it more. But
we're out of time.
And anyway, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. These are really important topics. Great questions, great comments.
Thank you.
Now tomorrow's okay. Let me say goodbye to the. Thanks if you've been listening to us on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you write us a 5-star review and give us a little. I'm not going for 4 or 3. I'm going for a 5-star review, please.
Do we know when we're on?
We don't know yet. We're gonna figure it out, but
we'll get the word out on that
tomorrow morning. So it can't be early tomorrow.
Check
Actually,
Telegram.
We're gonna be off tomorrow.
Maybe we're off tomorrow.
I think we're off tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I'm in transit most of the day, and then we lose time. And
all right, so then we're back on Wednesday, but we don't know what time on Wednesday. Probably later in the day.
Yeah, it's going to be tough next 3 days, but yes. I'm on a roll, too. I really want to keep going with all this, unless we do it super early in the morning. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. We'll get back to you all on Telegram.
Yeah, Telegram people will let you know. Thanks for everybody for joining us, and thanks for everybody on Zoom. We have a bunch of people. Wow, we got 80. I tell you, what is it about Monday and Sunday? There was like 50 people when we started the show. Now there's 80 people. Thanks for everybody joining us late and commenting and asking these great questions. Clifford Dean, Braja Sundari Radha, Scott Bakos, Nicole, Kelly Becker, Audra Colville, Katie Bell. We really appreciate your notes you're sending out.
Yeah,
it's making me realize, man, these were substantial, important things. I'm glad we had notes taken upon them. And it's good. I think I can refer to them too when I give classes too. So I'm really looking forward to like keeping that as a thread on Patreon as well. Oh man, I missed my solo. Bolo. Okay, Mara, welcome back to the States. We missed you today. Her car wouldn't start. This is how I like to wake up at 5 in the morning.
It's a fact. There's tons of couples here. It's like it's not 80 people. It's like at least 95 or something.
One's always dragging their partner in. I can tell. One's just dragging their partner in, and then
the girl's dragging the guys in. It's always that way.
Then it switches. The partner drags the other one in. Jeff's was dragging Heidi, and now Heidi's dragging Jeff in. It just switched. Here we go. Ready? 2, 3, 4. Hey, Jayarad, hey. You know what's great about this? No one can hang up. No one can just hang up. Jayarad, hey, Jai Shri Krishna Bala Jayarad. You know, wake up all
very addictive, Prabhu. That's the problem. It's very addictive.
It's addictive, Louis. How are you, Louis?
In a good way, not a bad way. Not a bad way.
It's a good addiction.
Very, very good way.
It's all about a good addiction. You got any words of wisdom to share with us, Louis?
I'm just saying you just constantly give me accountability to remind me, because I'm the knucklehead who needs to be reminded on a daily basis. This process is just a very purification, slow process. Thank you. It's humbling. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too, brother.
Samantha Joe Garunga, good morning. How are you guys? Hey, Jai Shirad, hey. They're going to go one more time. Sorry, it's a good ending. The song never ends. Jai Rad, hey, Jai Rad, hey. Jai Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Rad, hey. What an anthem.
You get inspired to do a lot of stuff listening to this.
Huh?
You get inspired to do a lot of stuff listening to this.
Oh, I know. I'm ready to take on the world. After
Get ready for Joe Rogan. Pump this up when you walk in there.
yes.
There you go.
How can I bring this to the show? This song. All right, you guys. Thank you. Love you. Hey, Shirad. Hey, JJ Shirad. Hey.